toe, no brain damage, but he did get a gash right here, like his helmet had hit him right here, so there was kind of this red mark. Lots and lots of cuts and scrapes. They already had his arms bandaged up, open fractures. And he had 8 broken ribs, 7 on one side, 1 on the other. They eventually found out he had a liver laceration, a slight pneumothorax, so his one lung was a little bit deflated, collapsed, and then I think he might have had just a really superficial fracture in his right leg. But we didn't find out until when he recovered from the surgery, putting his arms back together, that he had a spinal cord injury also.
A vehicle striking a bicyclist at 40 miles an hour is usually fatal. There isn't a real high likelihood of surviving that kind of serious accident. It did appear from the evidence of the scene that he did veer off of the road and strike Ernie completely off the vehicle travel portion of the roadway. Statistically, if you look at it nationwide, there's not a high probability of someone living through an accident that involves a vehicle striking a bicyclist at 40 miles per hour. Your odds of surviving that are not very high. So just, it isn't a case of someone was driving at a high rate of speed. It's a case that he was probably traveling somewhere near the speed limit, but just the impact at that kind of a speed against a bicyclist has no protection, just like it would be a pedestrian. Your chance of survival is very low.
So Paul.
Yes, sir.
What happens to a carbon fiber frame when it's hit from behind by a car at 40 miles per hour?
Same thing that happens to a aluminum or a steel frame.
And what is that?
It gets wrecked.
Ernie is a lucky guy. He's like a cat. He used up one of his lives.
I don't know if that is something that is widely known about Ernie, but he was quite a biker at the University of Indiana. One of the most disciplined men that I know. Certainly that would be required in order to rise to the levels that he did as an emergency room doctor. But disciplined is, I would say, would be an appropriate word for Ernie.
The last thing I remember was just doing a brief training ride on Bainbridge on Monday afternoon and turning onto High School Road, and don't remember anything beyond that. Don't remember anything to be alarmed about or anything to be worried about. But woke up here at Harborview 4 days later, Thursday night, just coming out of the intensive care unit.
And Ernie was in really bad shape, and I knew he was going to be in pretty bad shape, but it was apparent that he'd suffered some serious injuries. Serious as the injuries were, it's like if anybody was going to figure out a way to get through it, it would be Ernie, because he's just that kind of guy. He puts his mind to something, he gets it done.
It's not pretty.
Yeah.
The bike explodes, the rider explodes, and luckily, in Ernie's case, he was tossed to the side. Had he been in a different position, he would have been under the car, and we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Great encouragement here has been the staff and the medical personnel taking care of me, and they are so encouraging about my recovery, which has just bolstered my faith and my enthusiasm for taking one day at a time to see how God would work to heal me. And everyone that I've come in touch with here has been so optimistic about my walking someday, about my possibly even returning to work. So it's hard to believe with all 4 extremities injured that that's the case. But right now I wish for one useful limb, but apparently there's a very good chance that all 4 will be fully useful. It may take a year or 2, but 6 months to a year at least, and we're looking forward to just seeing how God would work and see that come about.
believe that Ernie has embraced his brokenness in ways that he's never done before, both in his physical body and in his spirit, and with his need for others and for someone outside of himself. And in that regard, he is a new project.
Ernie's talking about what he's going to do when he gets out, and where he's going to go, and different things that he's going to participate in. And I remember coming away thinking, you know, Ernie has an enormous amount of realism, far more than I do. He's a medical doctor. He knows exactly what's going on with his body, and simultaneously, he's got this hope that is wonderfully inspirational. And so when I think of Ernie, I certainly think of hope. I also think about determination, and how Ernie has this will and this desire to push himself, whatever that may be. I'm sure that's what made him a tremendous physician, but I also know that that's what makes him able to handle adversity in a way that has personally been very encouraging to me. Every time I'm with Ernie, I sit down and I think about ways that I can be an encouragement, and how I might be able to put things in such a way that would spur him on. And I walk away feeling like I am the one who has been encouraged, and I'm the one who's been helped, and you know, there's this effect that I have with Ernie that leads me, both those things, very hopeful and very determined in my own life.
Well, there's one particular day I'm thinking of when he had aspirated this piece of ice accidentally after his neck surgery. So he couldn't eat, drink, or he couldn't put anything down his throat, basically. He could suck on a little piece of ice. And so he it accidentally went down into his lung, he thought. And then he ran a fever and was sure he was catching pneumonia, and this was going to be the end. He didn't tell me this exactly, but he felt like he was going to die. A friend had lent us a bunch of videos of the Tour de France, and so all these riders are up on the TV in the hospital. And I told Ernie, look, you are an athlete, you are an injured athlete, and you are bonking big time right now. You have no fuel in your body. This is not you. This is not the positive Ernie I know that has that love for life that he just can't let go of. I mean, he kept saying that in the beginning. And so when we put it in cycling terms, I was usually the one that would bonk because I need the food more often, but he understood that, to frame himself in the context of an injured athlete.
I think primarily his ability to not be so depressed about where things were, and knowing that he has a very, very good sense of how the body can repair if the right frame of mind is, you know, if it's approached with the right frame of mind, and then having a group of talented people be able to work with him and get him to keep moving forward as opposed to having setbacks.
I cried. I didn't really want to see my dad like that, so it, like, I don't know, it put me down kind of, but at the same time, at least he's alive. So before, I don't know, I felt like the rebel teenager not liking your parents, but after my dad was hit, I feel closer to my mom and dad. I feel like I get along with them a lot better, and I feel like my dad's a lot. I like my dad more now, because he's more like loose and like more fun and stuff, and he has a better attitude about things, I think. So.
It's really easy, frankly, to participate in the adventure of life when things are going well, but take away how it is that we think that our lives are supposed to go, and it's at that point you really see what it is that we believe and what it is that we're living for. And so much of that has been taken away from Ernie, and yet it has simply revealed this wonderful, hopeful, determined, faithful man who's frankly very inspirational to people around him, but specifically to me.
Well, my name is Bill Davidson. I'm going to make a bicycle frame for my friend Ernie Franz, and eventually we'll put all the parts on it too, and it'll be a complete rideable bicycle. And I'm delighted to be part of Ernie's recovery team, and you know, I've enjoyed the opportunity to do this, and have enjoyed doing the work and so forth on it. This is going to represent the best we can possibly do. Hours will go into this because it has special meaning for me. Every single aspect of it in the hopes that we'll make the most ideal bicycle possible for that person. And so I've never done this exact bike before. There are many features of this bike that are unique, and you know, it's because Ernie's unique. Angles and so forth of all of these tubes are planned, and they're planned to ride and perform in a certain way for the person that it's for. Well, these pieces right here are titanium. This is a carbon fiber tube, and there'll be carbon fiber tubes replacing these contraption tubes when all of the titanium junctions are complete. This bike is going to be really light. In fact, for international professional racing, this bike will be illegal because it's too light.
Really?
And
does Ernie know that?
Ernie knows that. There's not much about bikes Ernie doesn't know. My daughter was his patient, and she looked down at his feet and saw that he had cycling socks on, and so she asked him if he was a cyclist, and he asked her how she knew, and she said, well, it's your socks. My dad has socks like that. So I think that's what started it. And my daughter was quite pleased that he was the physician, because it was actually her second time, and her first words to me were, "Oh boy, we've got the good one." So I thought, that's great for me.
Get started with walking. They had to wrap his legs with ace bandages very tightly so that his circulation would stay up high and not run down to his legs, and wouldn't pass out. And a couple guys there was just amazing to help him with that stage, just the starting of walking. So he was at Northwoods for a month until his arms, having been broken so badly, once those were healed up enough to be weight bearing, he could go back to Harborview for what they kept telling us was going to be boot camp, rehab.